If you dig down far enough in any soil, you reach a layer which is saturated, and then in the hole you've dug it would fill up with a little puddle of water. And this is the water table. And the water table changes seasonally. If it's dry weather, the water table goes down, and if it's wet weather, the water table comes up. And so you've got like a layer of temporary saturation, and then you've got below that a permanently saturated layer. And when you make one of these permaculture ponds without a liner, they sort of trap the rainwater, and then they gradually feed it into the water table. So this big drop of the water table is reduced greatly by this very gradual filtration of water through the soil, held here in these reservoirs. And then you have made your land way more drought resistant, and you've always got water as well. So all this water we water the plants with, we never use tap water, and of course pond water is way more nutritious as well. So it's really good for the plants, for feeding them and watering them, and it means we haven't got to buy any water. And also the ground doesn't get as dry either, so the ground, everything is more drought resistant, and that's really good. It makes very good sense to put the ponds in the wettest places where naturally water runoff from the rain goes, and then you haven't got such a job landscaping everywhere else to all flow into it, because it goes in there anyway. It reduces the amount of landscaping you need to do. But it makes very good sense to make use and harvest all of the rainwater so that it all goes into these nice pond reservoirs of water, so that you've always got water, and you've always got a nice high water table, and that makes the whole land revitalized and way more healthy. And of course having water attracts all kinds of wildlife. You've got like birds and mammals and all sorts of things that like to drink from it, and then you've got your amphibians and your fish which either live in it or have part of their life cycle in it. So you attract just tons and tons of wildlife with a pond, as well as having always got water to water all your plants with. So it's a really good thing, and it's probably the most crucial thing to any kind of self-sufficiency, is having your own water supply. And here we don't have like a natural stream or anything, so trapping the rainwater just ensures that we always have water. For the first few years after they've been dug, they are a bit prone to drying out on the shallower bits, but of course this is where the deep bits become very important, and they're always there. But as the pond becomes more established, the rate at which it drops becomes much less, as it seems to plug in all the little holes. Clay is made of these microscopic particles. There's a bit of clay slop, and you see it's just microscopic. It's not no lumps of sand or anything in it, it's just like microscopic. And this just sort of bonds together. When the clay particles are wet, they sort of puff up, and they act as a barrier to any water escaping. And the more established they are, the better they are at holding water. And that's very good. Sandy soils tend to be different. When I've made a pond like this in a sandy soil, you get heavy rain and the pond goes up a bit, and then as like a wave of water comes through the soil, the pond then raises up again even a few days after rain, and then with no rain coming, then it drops dramatically. And sandy soils without any clay tend to drop really dramatically, so it's more important to have them in a much damper location or to line them with clay. But here I'm lucky, I've got a nice clay soil, and this one's been here for 2 years, and it's establishing really well. Every time it rains and there's a wet period, it gets better and better at holding water, as these microscopic clay particles held in solution in the water run through the soil and fill in any cracks, and gradually make the land way more resistant to losing the pond water. So it takes a few years, but it's worth it. This pond has been here for 6 years, and it hardly drops at all now in this dry weather, and it's gone down a fraction of what the other one has. But to start with, for the first 2, 3, 4 years, it used to go down loads, and by now this shelf around the island would have all been exposed, but now years later it holds its water brilliantly, and it's really well established here now, and that's really good. But it'll take a little while longer for the other one to get like this. This one was like the little practice pond before we did the really big pond. These shallow little inlets are starting to go on the edges now, but even with all this dry weather, they're still here holding water, and this bit is less than a foot deep when it's full. Now it's just a few inches deep. That's really good. This bit was the first to go after a few weeks without rain when it was first built, and now it's really holding water well. And of course, as soon as we have enough rain, this will just fill up again. You need quite a lot of rain for the ponds to fill up. If you get some dry weather and then a really heavy thunderstorm, the ground is so parched that it just soaks up the rain and very little of it works its way down to the pond. You need like either heavy or continuous rain, or a combination of the two, for the ground to become saturated, and then the rainwater will run across the surface and become runoff and find its way to the pond. And really, once the ground's become saturated, any further rain will, the majority of which will just find its way to the pond. So yeah, the heavy summer storm just doesn't do it really. It's good for the soil, it'll water the plants, but it's not enough to find its way to the pond. So you do need those periods of heavy, continuous rain for the waters to find their way into the ponds. You can see the water line, the water mark around the edge of the pond. It's not gone down very far at all, this one. So as the ponds get more established, they get better at holding water, and so this one should look like that one in another 4 years. And as it is, it holds water really well. There's always water in here, and the fish are in here getting really big and really happy in here. So it takes a while for these to establish, but from day one they affect the water table, and they make a really positive effect on the water table, particularly in dry weather, when they just keep that water table recharged and active and working, and that's a really, really good thing. So I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you press the little me, which is somewhere down there, you can see all my other videos. If you have any questions, please just ask in the comments, and I shall see you next time.